So this one was one that I will never forget. It'll go down with my grave. This thing was awesome in the wrong way.
Welcome to How to Real Estate Podcast, a podcast to help you start, elevate, and catapult your real estate investing career. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new podcasts that we post every single Monday. Jared tested.
Jana approved.
All right, guys, welcome to How to Real Estate Podcast. This is Jared.
And Jana.
We're really excited to have this guest. I've been in a mastermind with this guest for a little bit. He's only started real estate since 2018, but he's really been kind of taken off and done a lot of really cool things, which I'm really excited to learn about and to really pick his brain. He's a graphic designer by day and a virtual wholesaler at night.
Ooh.
So, I mean, and he's also Batman. You guys didn't know. Just kidding. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that.
We weren't supposed to say.
Dang it. I got to get that straight. But Chuck Williams is here with us. So welcome, Chuck. Appreciate you coming out and driving out here to... Well, I don't even know where I don't know where you're from. But
From Ogden.
From Ogden. Okay. Yeah.
Totally worth it.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Awesome. Cool, man. So, tell us a little about how you got started in real estate, just in general. Just a little bit of your story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. Went to school for graphic design, and I've been in that field for about 16 years. And I'm always playing with other things on the side, you know, whether it's a clothing line or a furniture company or a print shop, you name it. And then a few years ago, I had a good friend in my neighborhood that he flipped a house just like a block away from us, and we started talking about it. Something that I would never do. Way too stressful. Way too many variables. And so eventually, I saw him move out of the neighborhood, and then quit his job, and then his wife quit her job. Then they got a bigger house. And then they just got a bigger house. And so at that point, I said,
what is going on?
Yo, let's go out to lunch. What's up? And so he basically, he broke it down for me, which is what I needed, because there's no way that I would have just got on YouTube or Google and searched how to become a real estate investor. So watching someone that you know and that you trust do it was a huge, almost like a built-in mentor that
Right.
He didn't even know he was being a mentor. So I decided to jump in. July 2018, I joined a pretty big network and education system and learned pretty much by fire hose.
Sounds about right.
Everything that I needed to learn and everything that I don't need to learn at this time in my life. And so it was hard to really break it down. And Devin was there, and then also I met more people, and it became more bite-sized. But once I got into the whole industry of real estate investing, I started, reading books and looking up podcasts and listening to podcasts on my commute to work. And I learned about wholesaling. And from everyone I talk to, wholesaling is like the best introductory to real estate investing. Some people just stick with it their whole careers, but then you also get, the option. Once you find these discounted properties, you have multiple options. So then I didn't want to spend money on direct mail. Seemed so archaic. And, with my background being in marketing, we're all about digital, online, and big ads and trade shows and giant stuff. Direct mail, we would laugh at it at our, in our industry, because it's old as time. But
Yeah.
So I just started driving for dollars. A lot of the podcasts I would listen to, Wholesaling Inc., Bigger Pockets, that's always one of their first suggestions is, if you don't have money but you have time, drive for dollars. You're going to create your own list that's customized and to your area. And so I drove around, I would take my daughter and we'd go drive around, and I passed this house, and it wasn't a Driving for Dollars house. It looked fine. Yard was kept, but I looked in the window and it was empty. So and this was before I even had an app. Like I was just writing down addresses on a piece of paper or a Post-it note or whatever I had. And then I skip traced the owner and called him up and went and visited him with Devin, of course, because I had no idea what to say, what to do.
And Devin was the guy that helped start the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And we went over to his house. Devin did all the talking. We walked around. I didn't even know what I was looking for. It looked like a great house. I mean, hardwood floors, new paint, whatever. And so we didn't even talk numbers with the guy. And, I said, hey, we'll be in touch. And I'd call him a few times, make an offer, and he said no. And I just kind of put it on the back burner. And then finally I just texted him and said, what if we did this? And he's like, oh, I'll take that. And I didn't know what to do because I just assumed he was going to say.
It's like, crap, he said yes.
Yeah, I was assuming, no, he's done. Kind of move on. But he said, yeah. So we got it under contract and went throughout the process. Instead of wholesaling it, we used private money. We bought it. We put it back up on the MLS and made a good profit. And that's when it became real to me. That's when it became somewhat real to my wife. She was still, just because of my background of trying all these other things and failing at them, she just assumed, this is another cool thing that we're going to go in debt for. And I'll just entertain my husband while he does one more thing. But yeah, it was cool. It definitely became real to me. I saw how it could benefit my family. It could eventually get me out of the 9-to-5, which at that time and even now I don't mind because I really like my job, but I'm at a plateau as far as my potential goes, and so real estate I can see a much bigger potential. And then beginning of the year, Facebooks and just going through Instagram, and now all my pages that I follow, all my influencers that I follow, they're not in the design world now. Now they're all investors. So I'm learning a lot, but still the fire hose mentality, getting overwhelmed because
Sure.
There's so much out there.
Yeah, it's like, do this sub 2, do this lease option, buy this, do note investing, and I'm like, what? It's going to take me years to learn all this. So.
Yeah, right.
So then I came across this guy, Avi Rosowski. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but dude is a stud. And he had this half-hour video up on Facebook and said, here's what I'm doing. I'm doing it virtual. I'm sick of driving around for dollars. I'm, sending out all these direct mail postcards. So what I do is I have an online campaign. I have Google AdWords. I'll show you how to set up your website. I'll show you your keywords, your non-keywords. I'll hold your hand through the whole process, how to find buyers, once what title companies to use. And it was pretty expensive, but I was like, well, with a day job, I could probably swing it,
Right.
So yeah, I got set up and another fire hose.
Hope you're thirsty.
Once I got into it, I just thought, man, what did I do? Like, this is so much info, and I don't even know if I'm good at this, So yeah, I got set up, and took me a while. And the first, you'll never forget, like the hotel deal that I did in Ogden was a unicorn deal. It was perfect. I had like zero stress in it. And so it was hard to use that as my first wholesale deal.
Sure.
And
as your real deal. You know, like you had
the one that you learn from.
Yeah,
I didn't learn. All I learned from that one is you're going to make a lot of money doing this, and it's super easy.
Right.
And you just rely on other people to do everything for you. And so this one was one that I will never forget. It'll go down with my grave. This thing was awesome in the wrong way.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I have my campaign set all up. I'm doing Google AdWords. I'm spending money every day. My wife has no idea how much I'm spending every day because I figure one deal will pay for all this.
Right.
And the education at this point is far more worth it than getting a big payday or profit. So I find this house in Illinois. And ironically, with the virtual wholesaling, we use Zillow for everything. And in the investor world, especially in the network that I'm in here locally, everyone frowns on Zillow.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, you can frown on the Zestimate, which is totally normal, but everything else, the database that Zillow provides you can't do virtual wholesaling without Zillow. So I get this lead. You know, they go to my website, they fill out the survey, and need to sell now. I own it, and my survey has like your pain points, why are you selling? It needs repairs, all that stuff. So I pull up the address, I look it up on Zillow, and beautiful house, like 100-year-old house, hardwood floors, stained glass windows. It's amazing. And it's worth the Zestimate says like 90 grand. And in Illinois, that's a lot of money. So I get him on the phone, we start talking, and this is a rental for him, and he is, he's sick of it. He's tried to sell it a few times. He did owner financing, and they fell through, and so he's ready to sell it. He says, I'll take 40 grand for it. And I was just like, well,
40 grand for the $900,000 house?
90.
Oh, 90.
Oh, 90. Oh, okay, sorry. I was like,
Yeah, I should have. Yeah.
Okay, it's like, yes.
We're going to Illinois.
Yeah, sorry. I'm with you now. Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of the basic rules I learned is if you don't know, just offer 70% of Zillow, or 60% of Zillow. I was like, this is below 50% of Zillow. Let's do it. Well, beautiful house. I forgot to get on Zillow and do the bird's eye view of the population, the area. So once I do all that, after I have a contract, there's a railroad in front of the house.
Oh, no.
15 feet from the front yard. Goes by only 5 times a day. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You get used to it. I live by an Air Force up in Ogden, and so we have jets flying over our house, and the front door and some of the windows rattle when the jets fly over. So with a train 20 feet away from your house, the entire house shakes, but you'll get used to it.
But that's a sturdy house. I mean, 100-year-old house.
Yeah,
and
no big deal. Yeah. You'll sleep right through it.
Like a little massage with the vibration.
Yeah. And one of the 5 times is like in the middle of the night.
Oh, jeez.
So I thought, all right, that's no big deal. He says it's no big deal. So in the backyard is a cow pasture. Again, 20 feet from the backyard fence. And the cows hang out right by that fence. The smell, the noise, everything. Yeah, but the house is still great. It's still a beautiful house. And so I get it under contract. And one of the things we learn is, go to Illinois Facebook groups, Illinois investor Facebook groups, put an ad out on Craigslist, put an ad out on Facebook. So I'm getting tons of traffic. A lot of end buyers, not even investors, a lot of end buyers that just want to rent it. And I'm like, no, it's all cash. And I had it listed for like 50 grand. I wanted to make my 10 grand and get out of there. I thought this is slam dunk. So I finally get a few people willing to walk the neighborhood. So So what we do in virtual is once you get it under contract, you just send a lockbox out to the owner. They put a lockbox on it, and in the contract is an agreement that you'll let people into the house, anytime with this lockbox. So I get a few people walking it, and obviously the pictures he sent don't show all the damage.
Oh no.
And the pictures he sent were current. He just chose what to take pictures of.
Sure. Certain angles, or make sure that hole in the wall is going to be not going to be shown in the picture.
Yeah. Huge house too, like 5 bedrooms, 3 baths. I mean, for Illinois in that area, pretty big. And a few people walk it, and they're just like, love the house. When can I rent it? It's not for rent. It's a cash only offer. Well, I can't qualify for that, and I'd love to rent it. And so 30
even with the cows and trains.
Right. I know, like I thought, if you want to rent it, why can't you buy it? It's $50,000.
Yeah.
And for us, that's like a nice car. That's not a house.
Yeah.
And so no one would pull the trigger. 30 days, like I'm on day 29, and the seller's calling me. Hey, where are we closing? I just want to know where we're closing, what title company. Oh, yeah, about that. We're still pretty confident we can close. And his comment was, well, what do you mean you're pretty confident? We have a contract. Yeah, I'm pretty confident we can close. Okay, that makes me nervous. I thought we had it sold. I thought you were a cash buyer. And just all these things I learned the hard way. Mm-hmm. Like, instead of being totally transparent, I just came across as, I'm a cash buyer. And I'm going to buy it on this day, 30 days from now. And so I call Avi, and I'm like, dude, I know this is my first deal, and you promised to hold my hand, so you're going to have to hold my hand up through this because I don't know what to do. And we get on the call with him, and we ask for an extension. We ask for a lease option. We ask for a lower price. And he's like, no, I have a contract right here that says $40,000, this date, cash in my hand. And I didn't know what to do, so I just listened to Avi talk to him, and finally we just got off the phone and said, all right, we'll get back to you with some other options, or we'll let you know, like tomorrow. So Avi calls one of his friends that lives in North Carolina and is a big investor, and he gets in his car and drives to Illinois to look at this house. And bless his heart, for some reason, he said, I could buy it, but I'll give him $20,000, and then I'll do the other $20,000 on terms. I was like, oh, great. At least we got in a commitment.
Right.
So we get on the phone the day before closing. All right, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you $20,000. We're going to give you the other $20,000 over 10 years at this interest rate. And this guy just blew up and just cussed us out and said, nope, you told me what title company to be at, and I'm getting my $40,000 in cash in my pocket. And so finally, this guy, his name's Jeff, he said, okay, let's try it. I'm sure I could rent it out. And he did it, and then that's how I learned, to go through title and set up title. And the title company was not the best one. They weren't investor friendly. They made me disclose the assignment fee to the seller. I didn't even want an assignment fee at this point. Jeff asked me what I wanted for it, and I said, just send me a fruit basket. We're fine, dude.
Right.
What I learned and the misery that I went through to get this, let's do it. And, he gave me like $500 at 1 month, and then once he got a renter in there, he gave me $500, and then a couple $100 the next month. But it took him like 2 months just to get a renter in it. So what I learned was invaluable. Check for a train track in front of the house. Check for a cow pasture in the back of the house.
Yeah.
The population was like 2,000.
Oh, small town.
Yeah.
Wow, that was.
So I learned a ton. And so, yeah, so I knew that it was possible. And if I would have done all my research and, I knew that I could have done it, but I just made it way harder than I needed to.
Wow. So you learned a ton. So that's good. I mean, that's
Yeah.
probably lost a few hairs just pulling them out or just falling out.
Yeah, and you just question yourself, like, I have a good day job. Why am I doing this?
Right.
Like, all these people on Facebook posting these big old $30,000, $40,000 checks, God is good. I'm so blessed.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Dude, you're not going through what I'm going through. Like, this is, even though this deal went through, this thing, virtual wholesaling, was still a lie.
Mm-hmm.
It was still just a scam.
Because did you even make with that under $1,000 you made on this deal? Did you even make that money back that you actually put into it at that point?
No, I mean, I probably spent, all my marketing. I mean, I had my Google AdWords campaign set up for, $65 a day. And then I had Facebook ads that I was paying for all my time. Like, I'm doing this while I'm at work.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm running the risk of being fired and taking phone calls, answering texts. It's like, oh, no way. It was not worth it at all. Hell no. That's what I'd say. And so I'm still like, dude, I got scammed out of all this money. This whole investing thing is a scam. So I put it off. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. So then like a month goes by and I kick up my campaign again. And
Now what made you, so you were like kind of frustrated with the whole thing? Because I've been to the point where like everything I seem to touch is pooped in smoke. So I've been there, like, I'm so excited because I'm very animated, and so I get so excited, and then like I got this deal, guys, and then I don't have this deal, guys. Just kidding, So what made you? Because I've been there. So what was the turning point when you turned back on those ads again?
My network that I'm in, Facebook, all the private Facebook groups I'm in about wholesaling and investing, and everyone is just saying, keep going, you'll get to it, this deal is for you. All right, I'll try.
Encouragement.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
Because it's still fake. All the encouragement is still fake. I don't know why they're encouraging me. It doesn't work for me. It works for everyone else.
And that's what you were telling yourself at the time, right?
Oh, yeah. So finally I kick up my campaign again.
So you turn on your ads again, and then what happened to that?
And it's crazy the amount of leads you get, because my area is the United States. I'm covering everywhere.
Oh, so your campaigns are running across everything.
Yeah.
And what kind of AdWords are you putting in? Are you just like anyone that types in real estate, then goes to your website, or what?
No, sell my house fast, cash for my house, Princeville, Illinois. We got like 1,500 AdWords in there.
Oh, wow.
And so and negative keywords and positive keywords.
Sorry.
So
negative keywords, that means like if they type in certain thing, then it won't even show up. Or
sell my house by a realtor.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We don't want that.
Yeah.
So that's get canceled out. Mortgage for my house. We don't need that.
Yeah. And so are you directing them to a website, and it's a website that you've made? Did you commission to get that done, or what was that like?
It was part of the program. I mean, with my background in design and marketing, it wasn't a huge leap for me, but it was just a ClickFunnels website. And through this program, Avi has all the code in there. He has all the type in there. Your survey questions are all ready to go. And so that's worth a ton, because
saves a lot of time.
The amount of time I'm saving and all the trial and error, I'm saving all that time. So, and I'm getting like 2 to 3 leads a day while I'm at work. My phone is blowing up. Like, once they fill out the survey and click submit, I get an email and a text. And so I'm just like, whoa, this is crazy. You know, but half of them are in tiny little towns. Half of them are on the MLS already. And so, you know, and they have a contract with a realtor. And so I don't really want to touch that. And so I go through a lot of text conversations, you know, tell me about your house. You know, why wouldn't you just rent this? Why wouldn't you just put it with a realtor on the MLS? I need to get out of it now. And, you know, just really focus in on their pain points. And it's amazing how determined and how desperate people are. And so this lady, this is another Illinois deal, tiny little house, 800 square foot house, three bedrooms, 1 bath.
Not close to the railroad, though, right?
No.
But the cows were there.
But a tiny little farm town. And it's actually in a township. I thought it was Princeville. It's a township it's called Monica. But that's the road she lived on, was Monica. And I just thought, no, she lives in Princeville. And so her and her husband updated the house 8 years ago, you know, wood floors, granite countertops, new roof, new HVAC, new plumbing, new electricity. And again, Zillow, 55 grand. And I thought, well, that's all pretty nice. And and I run some comps. On Zillow, you can run great comps. You go to the menu and you go to recently sold. You know, you're not looking for what's for sale, what's for rent. You click on the sold button and then you click 6 months. You can type in the exact data of the square footage, the year, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and you can see what has sold in the last 6 months. So I pulled some comps together, and sure enough, it was pretty close. It was within 2 or 3 grand of what this estimate was. And so we get on the phone, and she's like, yeah, we really want 50 grand for it. And I said, well, I'm not your guy. You know, I'd need to make a profit. And, you know, why don't you just rent this? This is a great rental. No, man, we actually have another house under contract that we're moving into, and we can't move into that house until we sell this house, which is pretty common.
Right.
And a great motivator. So I said, well, I can't do 50 grand. I could maybe do 30 grand. And the whole thing is texting while I'm at work. Like, we haven't even talked on the phone yet. And she said, well, let me talk to my husband about that. And I texted her and I said 30 grand, thinking she can now leave me alone and I can move on to the next deal.
Right.
You know, everyone gets an offer. Most of them are offended by the offer. But sometimes, well, let me talk to my husband about it. And I was like, what? You just dropped 20 grand? She's like, she comes back within an hour. My husband said, if you can do 31, we'll do it.
Oh, boy.
I was like, well, that's 19 grand lower than what you wanted.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. Tiny house, farm town. I've learned a little bit from my railroad house, but still 2,000 people, this tiny little area. It's like 20 minutes away from a bigger area with 20,000 people. And so I thought, there's a few investors in there. They're not going to mind having a rental 20 minutes away. So this one, I said, okay, I'm going to get an appraiser out there. And I'm going to pay for an appraisal because I'd rather lose $400 than make another bad mistake. So the appraiser goes out there and it comes back at 40 grand. And I was like, yeah, there's no way I could do 30 grand.
Right.
You know, it's going to need a, 5 or 6 grand worth of updates and cleaning and baseboards and paint, carpet, all that. So I said, and by this time they're packing their boxes because I agreed to 30 grand. So we got a contract at 30 grand, but I said, give me 15 days, and this is dependent on the appraisal. And so this time I was way more transparent, and I just said, if the appraisal's low, we can't do it, or we'll have to renegotiate. So it comes back at 40 grand, and she's just devastated because she thought for sure it's worth 50 because Zillow says 55. And I said, yeah, there's no way I could do 40 grand. Well, I can't do 30 grand if it only appraised for 40 grand. Well, what can you do? She says. And I said, maybe 23. Okay, let me get back to you. I'm just like, I said 23 so that you would tell me no and that I could move on. Just another learning experience because I should have said 18.
Right.
And she would have said, okay, let me get back to you.
You get what you asked for, right?
Yeah. So I said 23, and she's like, well, half my boxes are packed. We need to move into this house. Their house is paid for, this little 800 square foot house. So I said, well, you're still making profit. Like 23 grand isn't nothing. So she says, okay. So we fill out a new contract. I get started. And so now another benefit of Zillow and virtual wholesaling is I go to there's a real estate tab in Zillow where you can find local agents. And you can see what they've sold in the area, how, if they're 5-star, if they're sponsored. I think they can pay to be spotlighted by Zillow. So yeah. I find this realtor, and he is a stud. And I said, and his name's Troy, and I said, Troy, I got this tiny little house. I think I'm gonna flip it. I think I'm just gonna list it with you and see if we could put it on the MLS and see what happens. I'm hoping to get 48 grand for it. And he's like, well, that's high. I'm like, great. And so, but it's going to need some work.
So were you planning to buy it and then list it again, or what was your, okay, got it.
Well, I tried to wholesale it again.
Mm-hmm.
And all the investors, again, taught me a lot. Like I would call, another little secret of virtual wholesaling is you call property managers in that area. You just say, "Here, you guys looking to buy any properties for your portfolio?" Yeah, or no, or okay. Well, can you? There's apps like Rent-O-Meter, which I use a lot.
Yeah.
And the rent. When Zillow quotes a rental price, that's a lot closer than their estimate. So,
yes.
So you can rely on their rent price pretty well. And this could rent for like $600, $650. And so my cash on cash return is great. If I'm going to buy this thing for 23 grand and put, 6-7 grand into it, I'm still going to make 22% cash on cash return. So I thought, worst case scenario is we can just rent it. So I talked to Troy and I say, hey, Troy, do you know anyone? And do you have any contractors in mind that could help? We need paint, carpet, baseboard, just, general stuff. He's like, yeah, I got a great guy. Like, awesome. So I call him. The communication is rough. But he gets out there and gives me a bid, and I'm like, great, let's do it. It's exactly it's a little bit less than what I had planned, like 3,300. I was like, oh, that's perfect. So he gets started, and then the lawn is like a foot tall. It's on a full acre.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, Troy, you know any landscape guys? He's like, yeah, it's actually the same guy. The same contractor. He does lawns. He'll do everything for you. Great. Well, that comes out to be like $150 a week just to mow this thing. And I said, well, we have to mow it because we have to keep it somewhat
presentable, yeah.
And then, so I'm still going back and forth. And what I find out is the seller is super helpful and super communicative. She's answering my texts, she's answering my calls. Come to find out, she tells me my father-in-law has a big like bread box truck on the lot, but he's gonna come get it. It's just been raining a lot, and he doesn't want to ruin the yard. So that never happened. Once we closed, and what happened was I couldn't find a cash buyer. I couldn't find another investor, property management company, and this lady, they've boxed up most of their house by now. They have a few kids, and she's pulling at my emotional IQ big time, and I just gave into that. So I went to my wife, and I'm like, let's pull money out of our 401k and buy this house, because it was my wife's 401k. She had just quit her job, and I just thought, well, you're not contributing to it, so let's just... And everything I've learned in real estate up to this point is real estate, the returns on real estate are so much higher than 401k or stocks or anything, so I have no problem pulling 35 grand out to, I get to claim that on my taxes now. I get to take a 10% hit for pulling it out, whatever, let's just try it. So I finally just buy the house outright, and we are moving forward with the rehab, and come to find out, hey Troy, do you know a tow truck driver that could tow this box truck off this lot?
Good thing you had Troy, man.
Oh, he saved my life.
It was the same guy, I bet.
Yeah.
No, he had, I actually do have a friend that is a tow truck driver. Great. Come have him tow this giant box truck off my house. And then for my first, I knew to get vacant lot insurance. Then I had to set up all the utilities with the local Illinois, gas and power company. Well, not gas, because then I learned it's they have a well and a septic tank.
Oh,
which we don't have here in Utah.
Right.
Well, we don't have them in my normal neighborhood with houses and gutters and sewers and all that. So now I'm like, oh great. So now we have to get the well inspected. We have to get the septic tank inspected. From what she tells me, the well, it's great. Somewhat new. We just had it updated. Septic tank, we've never had any problems. And at this point, I'm believing everything she says.
Sellers, nothing's wrong with it. It's fine.
Oh, it's a perfect house.
I've had a seller where there's the crack was all the way through the foundation. Like there's a huge massive crack. Oh, it still hasn't fallen down yet, so it's fine. Just don't worry about it. Like yeah. When I buy it, the next day it's gonna fall. Yeah.
So then I had to find an inspector. I had to find, and Troy again just totally bailed me out because this is his area. He knows. He might make $1,500 on this deal. Like, I don't know. Like, he's just a great guy helping me out. And he knows I'm in Utah. He knows that the chances of me doing another deal with him are slim to none. So he's given me all of his contacts, which is another thing Avi teaches is, realtors need to be your best friends. And virtually, once you find a local realtor, they can make or break your whole deal. So we get it all inspected. The well turns out okay. The septic tank, they actually couldn't find it.
What?
So
is that normal?
No, but
it is what it is.
And somehow
He's like,
it got through title. They didn't, we could go off. The inspector ran the water for an hour and flushed all the toilets. Nothing happened. So he kind of gave it his confidence signature, even though he could never find it.
That's crazy.
So then we have to test for radon. This is all new stuff to me. I was like, what? This didn't happen on my unicorn flip.
Yeah.
This didn't happen on my first wholesale deal. Because you don't do that when you wholesale. Like, I'm buying this house. And, Eventually and then the whole basement is full of crap. Hey, Troy, you know of anyone that could empty out this basement and bring in a dumpster? And he's like, yeah, your contractor will do all that for you, Hector. So I call Hector again. It's, hey, man, I know they left a lot of trash in the basement. Can you clean all that out? Yeah, another $2,500 because we have to manpower. We have to pay for the dump to come. And so long story short is we get, I of course go over my rehab budget. It sells somewhat quick within a month. We sell it for $40,000, exactly what it appraised for. So I might have made $1,000. But the moral of the story is I was able to flip a house 1,000 miles away and not ever look at it.
Right. And you learned a ton from this too.
Yeah. And so now I'm like, flipping a house, it was stressful. It was way more stressful than a wholesale deal, but if I had to, I could do it. If it had better numbers, if I could have got her down to 18, I might have made $5,000. Still not worth my time, but I talked to other investors and they're like, well, I lost $50,000 on my first flip, or I lost $20,000 on my first flip, or I had to file bankruptcy on my first flip. And after hearing that, I was like,
you're like 1,000 sounds nice.
I'll take $1,000.
I'm still in the green.
And everything I learned. And I kind of, from that first call, Sean was the seller of the train track house, and just hearing him say, what do you mean we might close? I have a contract here, and just my heart just sank. And so this next house, I was like, if I tell her I'm a cash buyer, I'm buying it, Because virtually it's really easy just to be like, oh, sorry, I can't buy it. Peace out.
Right.
You'll never know where I live.
Like, good luck.
Yeah, but integrity, I just figured this lady, she would call me. She's lost weight because she wasn't sure if I was going to buy her house or not.
Oh, my goodness.
The stress was getting to her. She couldn't sleep.
She lost weight. She should have thanked you.
Right? I know. And I just thought, dude, you're playing with people's life. It's not like, to us, it's a product.
Yeah.
It's definitely, real estate has almost very little to do with what we do because it's more of a people business, and the property is just a byproduct of, what we do. But at the same time, this is their life.
Right.
And so what I learned on that one is to try not to buy a house or wholesale a house where people live in it. Vacant houses, they have zero emotion, super motivated, and if you have to cancel that contract, they're going to be mad, but they're going to move on and find another buyer, But if they're packing up their boxes and getting U-Hauls and doing all that stuff, you have to buy that house,
right.
One way or the other. So I learned a lot, and then got another one in Illinois, and this house was great. They remodeled it a year ago. The lady got a new job. She just moved. Well, and she hated the area, so she just moved out. So I was dealing with her brother, and I got them down. It was appraised, and this time I could trust the Zestimate because it sold a year ago when she bought it. That's a year ago. It's in great shape. It's $55,000. I was like, the pictures look great. And I got them all the way down to 29, and I was like, dude, wow. This is gonna be another hotel deal, because I can just turn around and sell it. It's in great shape. Hey, can you? And so I'm dealing with the brother. Hey, can you go over there and take some pictures for me? Because all the photos on Zillow look amazing, and I know they're only a year old. Yeah, we had some renters in there the last 3 months.
Oh no.
So let me get, and we're evicting them this week.
Oh no.
So after we evict them, we'll go over and take some photos for you. And sure enough, these people ran into the walls with their bodies. So there's giant holes in the walls.
Like man-sized bodies.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Little silhouettes.
Just a fun Super Bowl party or whatever happened. And crap all over. I mean, it's still all updated. Granite countertops again, wood floors, paint is okay, decent. And so we renegotiate, and I got them down a little bit lower. But then I, come to find out it needs so much work getting all the trash out. Man hours, the dumps, all that stuff. So I give the seller, we go back to our original offer. I give him an extra $1,500 if you'll clean it out for me. That'd be great. Appreciate it. New deck, new garage door, like this thing is priceless. And so we keep going back and forth, and this guy is super, what's the word? Just impatient, super impatient, because he needs to get his sister the money. She's making him do all this. He's not getting paid anything. He told me if they were to get anything over 30 grand, he was going to get as a profit for helping her out. And we got it down to 29.
Oh my goodness.
So he's not getting anything out of this. And coming from my last house where I was so emotionally involved, this time I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I have zero. This is business for me.
Yeah.
I worry about the bottom line. You accepted my $29,000 offer. I'm doing it, and we go back and forth again. This time I'm using Bigger Pockets as a huge resource. You go to Bigger Pockets, you search. This was in Springfield, Illinois, where the Simpsons live. And, you type in Springfield, Illinois, recent activity. I'm finding all these cash buyers. Way more benefit than I'm finding on Facebook. Facebook, Illinois investors are all in Chicago, big areas. Springfield is decent, probably 50,000, 100,000 people. So I'm learning to amp up my population size when accepting or when giving out offers. And so this one, I'm getting a few Bigger Pockets cash investors that are ready to go look at it. I'm getting excited. And then finally the seller just asked me point blank, he's like, what are you going to do with this house? Are you just going to turn around and sell it? I was like, yeah, I am. Oh, great, because there's a guy there. I'm on a busy road, and I'm right next to a car lot. And the owner of the car lot asked me if I was going to sell the house right after I got it under contract with you. So I said, dude, I'll give you $1,000 if you go give me his name and phone number, and if he buys it, I'll give you $1,000, which, is profit to you because you're making zero money on this.
And this is the brother you're talking to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of your nightmare sister who's making you do all this.
Yeah.
And you're not getting paid a lick, and you're unemployed at this time, so you're struggling.
Jeez.
Okay, I'll give you $1,000 if you go over there and just give me his phone number. So I call him. He's like, yeah, man, I own the property right next door, and I'd like to own all the properties right next to my car lot so that I can control them, because there's a dirt driveway and they'll run their four-wheelers up and get all my cars dirty and I have to go wash them. And it's like, awesome, let's do this. And, sure enough, he bought it. And
how much did he buy it for?
He bought it for $37,000.
Nice.
So I made $7,000, but then I gave the brother $1,000.
Yeah.
Because he saved me. Well, he saved me.
Found the buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would have never thought to go to the seller to ask for a buyer.
Yeah. I don't think many people
Yeah.
would.
It's like they would have sold it to them.
Yeah, and that was the benefit of being totally transparent.
Yes.
If I would have said, I don't know, I'm going to keep it as a rental. No, I'm going to flip it. But when I said, yeah, I'm just going to sell it, was what I do.
Yeah.
So he's like, great. If he would have sold it to that guy, he would have made $7,000. But thankfully he honored our contract. And that worked out great. And so after that, I was like, dude, this really works. Look, honey.
Yeah.
I just made $6,000, and this one was way easier.
So is a lot of the conversation via text or emails, or do you do phone calls or Skype at all?
Well, no, I haven't done Skype. No, actually I have done Skype. But text mainly with this guy. But the more I've done it, once I get a text from them that says, hey, you got to motivate a seller, here's their information. So I'll go look up the information. If it's a house worth, calling about, if it's, in a great area, and, even if it's a crappy house in a great area, I'm all stoked about it. But I'll get these tiny little houses in a tiny town in Alabama. The Zestimate is $3,000 on
What?
the house. Yeah, and I'm like,
Is it a shed?
What?
yeah, and no, they're like 1,000 square feet. That's just their economy.
Yeah.
And like those people, I'll text them and say, hey, thanks for reaching out, but I'm not interested at this time.
Now, have you thought about like maybe finding a local realtor and like sell them a lead? I don't know. Has that even been even if it's like $100 or something? It's $100, then that can go towards your AdSense.
Oh yeah. Finding a buyer.
Yeah, or even a
through
realtor.
the realtor.
Yeah, or not even finding a buyer. But let's just say, on the example, a house is worth $10,000 or something, and they want to sell their house. So you sell that information like, hey man, I have someone that wants to sell their house. If you want to go contact them, that's awesome. And you get an agreement. Pay me $100.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
If it's not worth my time.
Exactly. Yeah. Because if you're getting 3 or so a day, and you're not closing on the vast majority of them. I mean, have you ever thought about like maybe trying to sell those leads, even if it's like super cheap, but it's something that's better than nothing?
No, actually the opposite. I've reached out to local investors and said, if you can find me a buyer from your network, I'll give you, a finder's fee.
Right.
A lot of these houses, a realtor would be scared to death to even look at them because they're not going to qualify for a mortgage, a loan, because they're not going to qualify, or they're not going to pass the code, all that stuff. I mean, if it was a decent one, yeah, I'd definitely do that. But if it's worth giving to a realtor, I think it's worth my time to try to wholesale it.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I think using the network and using, bigger pockets, Facebook, just in today's internet world, like there's no reason why you can go beyond your backyard. I mean, there's pros and cons.
Sure.
My biggest deal so far has been in my backyard. And so I keep going back and forth. Like 2020, I'm going to focus. I think I'm going to do half and half, or I'm really going to be the sniper effect on my virtual. Like I'm only going to focus on 5 markets instead of the United States. 100,000 population or more. Certain income, certain economy. So that means my leads will be way cut in half and then cut in half again. Like I might get 1 a week.
Now, but with AdSense, you're only charged when they actually click, right? So that's going to reduce your costs as well, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, and so that way all the crap I gave direct mail, I'm pushing direct mail now, ironically, and because of my design background and marketing background, I got good copywriter friends. I can design the postcard. For me, I can't. Like I know that it still works when I see a postcard that comes in the mail and it just looks handwritten with a handwritten font and bad paper, black and white, and I just look at it and I'm like, no way would I ever call this person because of my house. Sure enough, I signed up for another class, Driving for Dollars class, and they gave me the exact template to use, and I was like, whatever, let's just try it. It's way against my ethics of being a designer, but let's just try it. And I've had a few calls from them, and I had a few appointments, and I'm just like,
What?
You're trusting this cheap postcard that's going to get lost in the mail with your house.
Well, with those handwritten letters or the handwritten templates, it seems more personable.
Yeah.
That's what people and it so. Like when I did mailers pretty heavily, like I kind of did a little bit of everything, So I had to do the handwritten stuff and also the postcards. In fact, I would send handwritten and postcards to the same person, just in different times.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So they'd see, because some people will respond to the handwritten letter because he's a real person. He's not just some company, and people are like, oh, I want professionalism. I want to look good and smooth, and then so it kind of hits all those facets when that's just how you go.
And timing too. Like,
yes, 100%.
I can't believe, like, I went to this house in Bountiful. This was my first in-person wholesale deal. I made every mistake possible. And these guys were about to go into foreclosure. I was already thinking about how I'm going to spend this assignment fee. I'm thinking, I'm going to make $30,000 off this. We're going to Hawaii, obviously.
Obviously.
We're going to pay down some debt, maybe even remodel the kitchen. This is going to be great. I'll put money aside so I can quit my job pretty soon. And, the whole family's there and they're packing up their boxes because they know they're going to get foreclosed on, and their dad is allowing them to move in with them. And so I sit down with the husband. The wife's in the back packing, so I made the first mistake there. Mm-hmm. Just talk to him, and
so what would you do? What would you change? Just for people that didn't quite catch, what would you done?
Well, right when I pulled up, he comes out of the front door and greets me. He's like, "Hey, you want to walk around and look at the house?" Sure. And I just listened to a podcast, which was awesome. Todd Toback, he's part of the Wholesaling Inc. family. Tom Kroll is his stepbrother who got him started in wholesaling. So Todd Toback has this podcast of, you got to slow it down and then slow it down again. And so the first thing I did is, let me get my camera phone out and let's go take some pictures. I barely even know you. Let's walk around your house. And
yeah.
So the first thing I should have done is, let's just go in your living room and talk. Let's just, let's see what your goals are. Let's see how I can help. And are you the only decision maker here?
Big.
Mm-hmm.
No, my wife is here. Great. Let's get you and your wife in the living room and talk. I didn't do that.
Right.
I went around the house. I took all photos. All their kids were in their rooms packing, so I'd open up the door and their kids are in the rooms, and, the dad would say, oh, he's here just to look at the house. And, just very informal. I saw the wife, said hi to the wife. That's about it. So then we get talking, and, we're building great rapport. We have a lot in common. He is, he's gotten letters every month about, a date to get foreclosed on, so he's super motivated. And I'm like, hey man, I'd love to help you out. And I do the whole negotiate. Now that I've learned what I've learned, I also just joined the Wholesaling Inc. program, and I've learned a ton there, which I can use toward virtual.
Right.
Awesome. But I'm going through everything, and in Wholesaling Inc., you just get taught to pull away, keep backing away. You're asking questions like, "What if I was able to do this?" That wouldn't be a good fit for you, would it?
Release statements, yeah.
Which is that's so awkward to say, and then they tell you, and then after that, just be quiet. Just shush. I'm like, that's so opposite of what I would do, and that's opposite of what I did. Mm-hmm. So let's do this, man. I know you owe $160,000, and I'm trying to give him an offer through the back door by saying, this is how much money I'm going to put in your pocket. So instead of saying $220,000, which is what my offer was,
yeah,
I was like, dude, let's put $70,000 in your pocket before Christmas. What would that $70,000 do for you? He's like,
it's a good question.
He's like, I'm giving up a lot of equity with that number. I was like, yeah, but you're getting $70,000 in your pocket. We'll pay off your loan. You'll walk away from closing. That $70,000 will help get you back on your feet. And he's like, yeah, I think I could do that. So that would be 220, right? Is that the right math? Yeah. And so, he agrees to 220, but can I sleep on it? Yeah, sure. That's another mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I would have had him and his wife there, and I had them agree, and another mistake I had is I had a little planner. I walked around with this planner that had the contract in it. Don't do that because you're just assuming you're going to get it. And another thing I learned from Todd Toback is he's just like, once they agree to, and he calls it, so you want to get the paperwork out of the way, which is great. Instead of saying words like contract and Rep C and all that stuff, say paperwork. You want to get the paperwork out of the way, and then you pat your pockets. Oh, I think I left it in my car. Let me go out and get it in my car. And I didn't do that. I had the contract out, started filling it out, and then he says, let me sleep on it. I was like, okay, because my virtual wholesaling, we just do DocuSign, which is so much easier. And I'm like, well, are you familiar with DocuSign? Let me once I get home, I'll fill out a DocuSign and send that over. He's like, great, I'm familiar with DocuSign. So I send it over, and DocuSign will give you an alert when they've viewed it and when they've filled it out.
Yeah.
I haven't got either of those, and it's been like 48 hours. So sure enough, I finally get a hold of him. I have to call him through my Google Voice number because he recognizes my home phone number.
He wouldn't answer.
He wouldn't answer my home phone number or my cell phone number. So I
might ask for the gift card back. You didn't want to answer?
Right? Hopefully he's already spent it.
Yeah.
So I call him through Google Voice, and he answers, and he's like, oh, hey, Chuck, how you doing? I'm great. Did you get a chance to read over the contract? Yeah, a little bit, yeah. That's another mistake. Instead of saying, did you get a chance, you say, did you get the contract? And you call them immediately after you send them.
Mm-hmm.
So I waited 48 hours. I still haven't heard from him. Did you get a chance? Just really passive and weak. And yeah, I did. But my son-in-law, he came over, and he wants to buy the house for $235. And my offer is $220. It's a son-in-law. I'm just like, well, duh. Obviously, you're going to go with your family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, good for you, man. I mean, what if I could offer $235? Well, let me talk to my wife. Because now I'm like, maybe his son-in-law won't qualify or won't have the money he thought he would. Or sure enough, nothing ever happened. I'm sure he sold the house to his son-in-law. So I learned a lot, which is the moral of the story. I just read a great book by Ryan Holiday, Obstacle is the Way. You either fall or learn. You don't fail.
Yeah.
And that's huge because I got kicked in the mouth, man.
You've learned a lot.
Mentally, mentally I'd already spent his money.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, we're going to Hawaii. It's closing before Christmas.
Gift card and
we're going to get $30,000. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to be on podcasts. Wholesaling Inc.'s going to interview me. It's going to be sweet. So I just, I took it all for granted and I learned. And that's the hard thing is wholesaling, you can make a great living and you can be financially free, but it is hard work and you just have to accept that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A lot of people, they're either super scared by real estate because of 2008, or they just think there's an easy button and I'm going to quit my job and become rich.
They quit the job right, but the rich part comes a little not as fast as they
grind.
want.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
It is. What I love what your whole story, Chuck, is just you've had a lot of challenges, to say the least. Some failures, and a lot of people would have just after that first deal, even doing virtual, it was just like, okay, well, I'm done. And then maybe at the second one, like, oh, well, I barely made 7, but it was, or didn't make anything, but I'm done. But you kept on going, even still, you keep on going at it. So that's the key to success. And I think you mentioned, you hit on that too. It's just not giving up and taking these food bars, or not food bars, but you're taking these challenges, experiences as lessons, and that's exactly what you're doing. And through the entire podcast, you've been going through, this is what I did wrong, this is what I'm going to do from here on out, and it's great. I mean, you pay for education one way or another, whether you pay for the coaches and mentors, or you pay for because you screwed up. Yeah, mistakes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, because I didn't say things certain ways, so you cost yourself X amount of money and whatnot, and do things certain ways. So, but the next ones you're going to be just killing them out of the park. So. Well, I doubt it. You're gonna learn some stuff. You're gonna learn some more stuff.
It's thankful to good books and podcasts, and also, like, I'm totally on board with investing in myself. And if there's a network or coaching program that costs money, then I'll do it.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I'll take out a credit card and do it. Like, I don't care. Just because I'm so far ahead, but I'm also so far behind at the same time. You're gonna learn the process through the coaching programs and the mindset and the lingo, and your network is huge. But once you get a deal under contract and mess up, that's where you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
Tenfold and at Mach 10.
Yeah.
I'm excited for 2020. I think my mindset is there. I've massive goals that scare the crap out of me, and so I think I learned that from Napoleon Hill. Like, if you have the energy to make a goal, you might as well. It takes the same amount of energy to make a massive goal. I butchered that,
sure.
but
the general idea.
But he says something like that, like, why would you? You need to have a goal that's way out of your comfort zone, or it's not work. Like, why would you even have a goal? So it's scary, and I only share it with my wife because I've shared it with other family members, and I would not recommend that, or just people in your network that aren't, in that same boat. You are the average of the 5 people you are around, and I've had to super think about that and be like, my real estate investor network is all on the same timeline and same mindset as me. My other friends,
not so much.
No, I mean, they're my friends though, but like, we'll go out golf and I'll be like, I got into real estate. Oh, why? That's scary.
That's risky. I don't know.
Don't you love your job?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you still have a mortgage and bills to pay? Like, what? Did you not learn from 2008? And that made me think, like, that's tough because I don't want to give up my friends, but I guess I just have to limit my conversations when I'm with those friends,
Sure.
To the weather or lunch or
golf.
Or golf,
not,
this is how much money I'm going to make this year. This is how many houses I'm going to wholesale. This is how many rentals I'm going to get. This is the car. This is the country club I'm going to be joining. Here's the car I'm going to be driving. Here's the charities I'm going to give back to. You have to just be careful about who you share those with.
It's true. It's not. It's don't put your pearls amongst swines.
Yeah.
It comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome. I really we both appreciate you coming out and telling your story in detail as far as those deals. And I think a lot of people out there are in very similar boats. They just keep on trying, and it's just not, there's not, either give up too soon. I think you're a prime example of learning from your mistakes. Sometimes myself, I've done the same mistake 10 times in a row. I haven't learned from it, so maybe I just start learning from my own mistakes and going forward, which it seems like you getting better every time. That's the best. As long as we're moving the needle to the right direction, whether it's just by an inch or two or centimeter or two or by a whole mile, it doesn't matter. As long as it's going that right direction, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And it is comforting to see people post their checks and
Sure.
I don't know if I would ever do that. Like I've shared it with, like my first deal. Like I shared it with Devin, and it was awesome. My last virtual wholesale deal that finally came through, I shared it with people in my network, not my friends.
Sure.
Not my mom. And so that's what. But at the same time, it was very gratifying to help that brother help his sister. Even though he only made $1,000, it was such a burden for him.
Oh yeah.
He was taking work off to go let people in or clean out the trash, and the lady's house that I bought in that tiny little farmhouse, like they were able to move into their other house, and so that's. I mean, the money will come, but...
Yeah. Well, and you're focusing on the good part of it, too. Focus on...
I hope so.
I learned this, and also I was able to do this to help them. You know what I mean? So,
like I think it's very important. You established... And those two virtual deals were mostly through text, but you'd be surprised on the phone and texting. You're talking a lot more. You're escalating that process so much faster because you're just back and forth, And
you're able to think of your response. You know what I mean? So when I'm like just face to face, belly to belly, I got to have my responses right then and there. If I'm texting, if I spend 5 minutes between the text message, that's nothing. You
can't just sit there and just think about it face to face.
Yeah, I mean,
you're just awkward silence. Hang on.
I always think of that. But with text, that's like totally that's no way weird at all. I mean, I spend half the day and respond to a text later on. It's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So some people,
And so I kind of feel like you can build a relationship and a rapport 1,000 miles away.
Agreed.
And that's where like you could even go into Skype and FaceTime, and then you confirm that relationship once you see each other face to face. But you don't have to meet them. You don't have to see the house. Like I'll put an ad on Craigslist and have a guy go take pictures for me, and that's all I need. I don't need to drive out there and look at it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Some people actually prefer not interacting face to face anyway.
Oh,
They're just their personalities. So you might get more out of them via text versus a face to face conversation sometimes, just because they don't want to deal with the confrontation.
Yeah, and if they're introverted, like I can be both, but most of the time I'm introverted, and so like they don't want to sit down with me in their living room. But I mean, just depends on the people.
Yeah.
If you're a good fit, you're gonna help them out. If you're not a good fit, that's what I've learned so far is you gotta be self-aware and know that
like calls to like.
I'm not. I'm not gonna be a good fit for you because you've already commented on my favorite sports team. You right when you meet them and talk to them on the phone or meet them face to face. You know if you're going to be able to help them out or not.
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
just being self-aware is huge.
It's massive, definitely. All right, cool. Well, Chuck, if anyone wanted to reach out to you, do you have you're on social media, or how would you like to? If someone did want to reach out to you, how would you like them to do that?
This is going to be daring, but you can just call me.
Or not at all, too. Whatever you want to do.
No. So my company is called Anthem Home Buyers. My website is just my survey site. So if you click on it,
you'll need to fill in the information.
You'll need to fill in the information, and I will have to pay for it. So don't do that. But just Chuck at anthemhomebuyers.com is my email. Phone number 801-920-8321. I'm on social media, but it's mostly just my name because I'm still holding down a W-2 job. So once I'm self-employed, I'll start sharing more investment pictures instead of just family pictures. But I'd love to help out. I mean, I'm selfish, so I'd like to learn more. But if we can, get together, have lunch or whatever, I'd love to help out.
It's awesome,
networking. Well, thanks, Chuck, for coming and sharing your experiences. I I really was very excited to hear about the virtual
Yeah.
wholesaling.
She was saying, is check coming? Is check coming yet?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a
thanks
ride for
sharing.
sure. Hopefully it won't get easier, but I'll know what to do next time. So
Well, that's good. Well,
Well,
good
she'll make it a
luck.
little easier too. I mean,
yeah, hopefully.
know what to do.
Hmm. Well, yeah, thanks guys. This
Yeah.
is fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and we hope you liked that podcast. Stay tuned for next Monday for a brand new podcast and a brand new guest. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.